Day 7. Reflect and prepare. We close out each week by reflecting on the past week and reading the introduction to the coming week. So today, spend some cosy time in your meditation space and take a moment to reflect on your work this week. You may want to highlight certain passages or exercises in your journal that were powerful to you. You might even want to repeat one of your meditations or journaling exercises. I'll layer each week's work into the next, so don't hesitate to bring your tools with you as we continue on this journey. When you're finished with your reflecting, it's time to read the introduction to week 2. Week 2's introduction will deepen your practice of self-love and strengthen your faith in love. Get ready to throw down some self-love and expect miracles. Week 2. A new self-perception. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. Alice Walker. Sometimes the phrase self-love gets a bad rep. Many folks balk at the concept because they may perceive it as too new age or narcissistic. But for the sake of your happiness, let's forget about semantics and open up to the idea of self-love. It's the key ingredient for internal power, and it's essential to your miracle mindset. I describe self-love as the place we come to when we let go of everything else. In a recent interview, I was asked, "Do you love who you've become?" And my response was, "I don't believe I've become anyone. I've just released all that was blocking me from who I really am." When we release our ego's false perception of who we are or who we need to be, we can surrender to the truth, which is that we are all love. The love that I speak of is an intuitive voice reminding us we're great and worthy, leading us in the right direction and helping us let go of resentment and return to peace. This inner presence has been stifled, but through the practice of self-love and acceptance, we can reawaken this peaceful self-love state. By following the guided suggestions this week, you'll see your self-hatred and doubt begin to release. You will awaken a new relationship with your inner state of love, the most important relationship in your life. When you re-establish a loving relationship with yourself, you begin to realise how self-love is no different from the love that you show others. A Course in Miracles teaches us that when we attack ourselves, we attack the world. And when we love ourselves, we love the world. A self-inflicted attack has a direct effect on the energy around you. Therefore, if you consistently attack yourself, you are consistently attacking the world. Sounds serious, right? It is. Self-attack leads to low-level energy, and that energy spreads like a virus. The more people who function from a place of fear and low-level energy, the more violence, war, and hate there is. If you want to have a positive impact, we must become spiritual activists who are committed to changing the world one loving thought at a time. A lack of self-love can lead you down many dark paths. You can feel incomplete and therefore feel the need to complete others so you can feel worthy and good enough. Lack of self-love can also have the opposite effect. You can feel so angry with yourself that you isolate and deny the world your beautiful gifts. For instance, in the case of my dear friend Christine Ardlow, her lack of self-love led to a deep bottom that later became the catalyst for her greatest change. Christine was a self-proclaimed achievement junkie, and she suffered from codependency. Her need for outside approval from everyone she met reflected her inner disapproval. Christine couldn't love herself, so she needed the world to compensate for what was missing. On the outside, she seemed to have it all. The fiancé, the six-figure corporate job, the comfortable home, and all the necessary trappings of a happy person. But on the inside, she was a mess. Striving for outside approval and love led Christine to inner turmoil and a constant feeling of overwhelmment. When you search for your self-worth in external circumstances, you will never feel fulfilled. You'll be on an endless search, struggling to find enough approval and love. Christine was searching for love in all of the wrong places. Then one day in 2001, Christine got a wake-up call that would change her life. As she drove to her engagement party, her fiancé called her to announce that he didn't love her or want to marry her anymore. He was calling off the wedding. As you can imagine, this proclamation rocked Christine to her core. Her immediate response was to isolate and go into a serious state of self-hatred, berating herself with negative thoughts like, "This is your fault," or "You'll never have a healthy relationship." To make matters worse, her ego took over and placed blame on her fiancé. The Course teaches us that one of the ego's greatest tricks is to project our fear onto others to avoid having to deal with the discomfort. This false defense mechanism only hurts us more. Once the initial shock wore off, Christine had two choices. She could turn this situation into another reason to hate herself, or she could see it as her opportunity to change. She chose change. Christine surrendered to the pain of rejection and allowed herself to be broken open. Instead of choosing to stay resentful forever, she chose to let go and invite miracles to occur. We all face this decision at some point in our lives. Oftentimes, hitting bottom gives us opportunity to recognise that there has to be a better way. Hitting bottom was the greatest gift that she received. Her bottom became a turning point and a time for her to take all the necessary steps to turn inward and establish her own practice of love. And she did just that. One day at a time, Christine rebuilt her inner state of self-love through affirmations, prayer, self-kindness, meditation, and a serious forgiveness practice. In short, she took focused and positive action. She reignited her relationship to herself. Upon reconnecting to this state of peace, Christine went through a steadfast spiritual process to forgive her fiancé and choose to perceive him as the gift. The gift of self-love was given to her. Today, Christine is known as the Queen of Self-Love. She is the author of the book Madly in Love with Me and lectures throughout the country on the topic of self-love. And she has made it her mission to guide others to know their greatness. Christine turned her problem into her purpose and today is a powerful example to the world. I hope Christine's story empowers you to dive deep into this week's exercises. Maybe you've been struggling with codependency or self-hatred. Maybe your self-attack is at an all-time high. Or maybe it's subtler and your lack of self-love comes out through your relationships to food, drugs, or sex. Regardless of how you may be acting out, know that each of us has disconnected in some way from our relationship to love within. And each of us has the power to reignite that connection. Much like Christine, we all need to reconnect with our sense of self-love if we're going to live with miracle minds. So once again, open your heart, mind and notebook and prepare for another week of transformational shifts. This week is focused on self-love, and it's important to understand that A Course in Miracles does not emphasize the self. The Course perceives all self-perception as separation from our truthful state of oneness. When we place too much emphasis on ourself, good or bad, the ego is convincing us we're special, either more special than others or less special. The goal is to let go of our ego's self-perception over time and eventually remember that we are equal to others. The ego works hard to keep us stuck in self-attack, even when it seems like we're attacking others. When we're hooked into the ego's perception of self, we often compare ourselves to others. Comparing leads to self-inflicted judgment and attack. The ego needs to compare us to others to reinforce the illusion that we are less than or better than others. For instance, you may compare yourself to a co-worker who makes more money than you. The ego response is to attack your co-worker and judge her for having what you want. In effect, the ego has convinced you that because your co-worker has what you want, you'll never have it. This is the ego mentality that there isn't enough to go around. This ego's comparing reinforces your judgment towards others and the lack that you perceive in yourself. The Course reminds us throughout the text that when we judge others, we're judging ourselves. Comparing and judgment are the catalysts for much internal chaos and dark inner turmoil. Don't get hung up about this. The exercises this week will guide you to use your ego's self-perception as a learning device for true growth. Your practice this week will enable you to bring your wrong-minded ego perceptions of yourself to your ing for healing. Shining love on the way you perceive yourself will help you to see that your misplaced thoughts are just illusions, and it will help you restore the faith that you are love. In the subtle moments when you recognise this truth, a miracle occurs. In an instant, you can remember that you're equal to everyone and that we are all love. The more you practice these principles, the more you will release the negative self your ego created and reconnect to the love that you are. So here's the plan. On day 8, tomorrow, which is the first of our 7-day week this week, you're going to bust out your magnifying glass and begin the witnessing process. You'll be led to consciously assess the ways you've been attacking, doubting and abusing yourself. Looking closely at this behaviour may feel uncomfortable at first, but know that you're in a safe container to hold these feelings. Know you're being guided. The second day this week, day 9, we'll throw down some willingness. Remember that willingness is crucial for creating change. On the third day this week, which is day 10, you'll ignite some new perceptions. I'll lead you to turn your fears upside down and change your mind about your relationship to yourself. The fourth day this week, which is day 11, brings us back to gratitude, and you'll focus on what you love about yourself and your life. The fifth day this week, which is day 12, we start dropping some F-bombs and going big with serious self-forgiveness. The 6th day this week, which is day 13, we welcome in the miracles. And finally, a week today, the 7th day this week, which is day 14, we review and prepare for week 3. You're starting to see the pattern, right? Soon this practice will become second nature, and that's how it can be a lifelong way. Before you jump into your self-love practice, make sure to be extra kind to yourself this week. Prepare tonight by cleaning your room, maybe map out some healthy meals, and make sure to drink lots of water. Stay hydrated, healthy and well rested throughout the week. We're going deep this week, and we'll be dredging up some old stuff that's been hiding out for decades. Your self-care will greatly support you as you open up to deal with and heal old wounds. Thank you.